We've come to this wonderful passage where Aurobindo tells us that the great world mother has, by her sacrifice, she has descended and made her soul the body of our state. It means that this matter that we take so much for granted and think of as so humble and unimportant, that it's made of the soul of the Supreme Mother. Because the Mother has descended like that, this earth, this matter of ours, is full of all the powers and substances of all the other levels of consciousness. No? And that means that here on earth there are dissatisfied forces are moving. They've come from other realms. They are not satisfied with this material world. No? But they are partners of her greater growing fate, of the evolution of the earth. They are partners of her greater growing fate and her return to immortality. They consent to share Earth's doom of birth and death, this mortal state. And what they do here on Earth is that they kindle partial gleams of the all. So in our Earth, there are little sparkles and impulses of the vastness of the whole universe. And they're driving the blind, laborious spirit of the Earth Goddess to compose a meager image of the mighty whole, of the whole vast manifestation. Here on Earth, she can only create a meager image, a small, inadequate image, but still it's something very valuable. So we'll start from there. The calm and luminous intimacy within approves her work and guides the unseeing power. His vast design accepts a puny start, an attempt, a drawing half done is the world's life. Its lines doubt their concealed significance. Its curves join not their high intended close. Yet some first image of greatness trembles there. And when the ambiguous, crowded parts have met the many-toned unity to which they moved, the artist's joy shall laugh at reason's rules. The divine intention suddenly shall be seen. The end vindicate intuition's sure technique. A graph shall be of many meeting worlds, a cube and union crystal of the gods. A mind shall think behind nature's mindless mask, a conscious vast fill the old dumb brute space. This faint and fluid sketch of soul called man shall stand out on the background of long time, a glowing epitome of eternity. A little point reveal the infinitudes. A mysteries process is the universe. At first was laid a strange, anomalous base, a void, a cipher of some secret whole, where zero held infinity in its sum, and all and nothing were a single term, an eternal negative, a matrix naught. Into its forms the child is ever born, who lives forever in the vasts of God. A slow reversals movement then took place. A gas belched out from some invisible fire. Of its dense rings were formed these million stars. Upon earth's newborn soil, God's tread was heard. Across the thick smoke of earth's ignorance, a mind began to see and look at forms and groped for knowledge in the nescient night. Caught in a blind stone grip, force worked its plan and made in sleep this huge mechanical world, that matter might grow conscious of its soul, and like a busy midwife, the life power deliver the zero, carrier of the all. Because eternal eyes turned on earth's gulfs the lucent clarity of a pure regard, and saw a shadow of the unknowable mirrored in the inconscient's boundless sleep. Creation's search for self began its stir. A spirit dreamed in the crude cosmic whirl. Mind flowed unknowing in the sap of life, and matter's breasts suckled the divine idea. A miracle of the Absolute was born. Infinity put on a finite soul. All ocean lived within one wandering drop. time-made body housed the illimitable. To live this mystery out, our souls came here. So, who will start? You will start, Kanapa.
The calm and luminous intimacy within, of whose work and guides the unseeing power. This vast design accepts a puny structure.
So I think this calm and luminous intimacy within, this is the Purusha, the witness consciousness. No? He says, yes, he gives his sanction, approves the work of his power, no? And guides her in her blindness, in her unconsciousness. He's got a huge plan, a vast design, but he accepts a puny start, a small, weak start in the beginning of the material universe. Sebastian?
An attempt, drawing half done is the world's life. Its lines doubt their concealed significance. Its curves join not their high intended close. Yet some first image of greatness trembles there. And when the ambiguous crowded paths have met, the many-toned unity to which they moved, the artist's joy shall laugh at reason's rules. The divine intention suddenly shall be seen, the end vindicate intuition's sure technique.
Yes. So in several places in Savitri, Sri Aurobindo tells us that we shouldn't judge the world by its present appearances, because it's like going into an artist's studio and seeing a half-finished picture. So here he says that the life of the world that we live in, is just an attempt, a half-done drawing. So the lines of that drawing, of that work of art, they are not sure what they mean and where they're supposed to go. No? They have a hidden meaning, but they are not aware of what it is. No? So the curves of this drawing, they don't go where they're supposed to go. The curves don't join that place where they're supposed to go. They're high, intended close. But nevertheless, some first image of greatness trembles there, trembles here in our world. No? I think especially when we look out into outer space now, the Hubble telescope lets us see things, or when we look with the microscope into the structure of matter, we see there's some miraculous power at work. No? Some first image of greatness trembles here. And when all these different elements of the drawing, of the work of art, when they've all reached where they're supposed to be, the many-toned unity to which they've been moving, they're evolving, the artist is pushing them nearer and nearer to their conclusion. When they reach that many-toned unity, then the artist will laugh with delight. The artist's joy shall laugh at all those reasonable rules that said it shouldn't be like this and it shouldn't be like that. No? The divine intention suddenly shall be seen. So the end, the result, will vindicate intuition's sure technique. To vindicate, it means to justify, to prove that somebody or something was right, even when everybody said it was wrong. No? The artist has been working with the power of intuition, of an innate, direct knowledge. Alice?
A graph shall be of many meeting worlds, a cube and union crystal of the gods. A mind shall think behind nature's mindless mask. A conscious, vast, fill the old, dumb, brute space.
Yes. So he uses this images from geometry. A graph is a kind of diagram. There are different ways of drawing graphs, but they indicate values. No? So he says that this world will become a graph indicating the positions and the relationships of many meeting worlds. Not just this material world that we know, but all the other worlds. And it will form, or one expression of it will be, in the form of a cube. A cube is like a sphere. It's one of the Platonic solids. It's one of these perfect figures. And I don't know whether you've ever tried with metalwork or carpentry to make a cube. You have to get every angle, everything right. Otherwise, it won't be a cube. It'll be something else. No? It has to be perfect. So he seems to speak of this cube as a union crystal of the gods, as if many substances, many possibilities are coming together to create this cube which contains all their possibilities. And then we shall become aware that there's a mind with a capital M, thinking, behind this mindless mask of nature. We look and we think, oh, there's no mind, but still there's such an amazing, not only intelligence, but also aesthetic sense in the perfection of nature. A conscious vast shall fill this old, dumb, brute space. We look out into space and we think there's nothing there, that it's just empty. No? Or perhaps there's a few atoms or subatomic particles floating about there. It's dumb, it's mindless. But I'm very happy to learn that some scientists nowadays, they have come to the conclusion that it must all be conscious, that it must be filled with consciousness, or the potentiality of consciousness. Some scientists have come up with this whole new theory. I haven't yet read about it in detail, but I'm delighted that they've woken up to this, that this old dumb space, we thought it is meaningless vacuum. It's a conscious vast. You like to read?
This faint and fluid sketch of soul called man shall stand out on the background of long time, a glowing epitome of eternity, a little point reveal the infinitudes.
Yes. So at the moment, this is an unfinished drawing. The soul of man, or this being, this entity we call man, is just a little sketch. Some of, perhaps you saw today some of Mother's sketches. Some very, very faint lines, but when she drew them for Huta, Huta understood what those lines meant and what she was to paint. So humanity is like that, just a faint sketch indicating what it is supposed to become. So this faint and fluid sketch of soul called man, we shall see this human figure stand out on the long background of long time, that this is an absolutely crucial point in evolution. It's a glowing epitome, an example or a summary into which is compressed all the possibilities of eternity. And that little point here, this is where the humans came in. This will be an example revealing the infinite possibilities of our universe. In this sentence, we have the verb shall, this faint and fluid sketch of soul called man, shall stand out on the background of long time. And that shall, we have to understand it also in line 205. A little point shall reveal the infinitudes. It happens in poetry, we have to understand certain things. So that often happens in Savitri. Slava, there you are. Wow. Will you read?
Yes. A mystery process is the universe. At first was like a strange,
Anomalous
space, a void, a
cipher.
cipher of some secret code where zero had infinity in its soul, and all and nothing were a single term, and eternal negative, a matrix
Naught.
Into its forms, the child is ever born, who lives forever in the
Vasts of God. Vasts of God, yes. So, yes, let's stop there. So the beginning of our universe, the poet says, was a strange, anomalous base, some kind of basis for everything that's going to come next. And anomalous means that it seems to be self-contradictory, or to have contradictory possibilities within it.
Is this meta already?
I don't know. Let's see what we see. It must be pre-matter, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's pre-matter. A void. an emptiness, a cipher. A cipher, the word has several different meanings, but here it means a zero. But that cipher represents some secret whole. I think I mentioned before and recommended everybody in the class to look for Nalini Kanthagupta's essay on the mathematics of infinity. I can't tell you where to look for it. It's in his collected works somewhere.
But I don't find in the library. I have 6, 7 books, no 8 books, but Nalini I don't find mathematics. It was that I find.
It's not a separate book. I think there are 8 volumes, and in one of those volumes, this is one of the chapters. So it means you have to look in each of them.
I read every chapter.
You went all the way through and you couldn't find it.
I take 8 books and I read everything.
Well, I don't think I've imagined it. It must be somewhere. But I'll try and do some research and find out. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But in the life divine, shall we not describe?
Yes. Yes, it's an idea which he uses, that this apparent emptiness. Mother also has said, no, she says, when we think that it's all empty, we don't, that that's just our minds. We can't see that it's packed with infinite possibilities. So, yes, that's the next line, no? The mathematics of infinity, with a capital I. So the idea is that the zero, we think it's nothing, empty, but it's holding within it infinity.
Joseph also said that zero contains all of possibility inside.
Yes, right, exactly. So, if we look at it like that, then all and nothing, they're a single term. That's the same expression of this zero. And he says we can look at it as an eternal negative, non-existence, or we can look at it as a matrix naught. Naught means nothing. A matrix is a womb. It's going to give birth. It's a mother which is going to give birth. So that nothingness is going to give birth to everything. Into the forms of that empty universe, the child is constantly being born, the golden child who lives forever in the vasts of God. That golden child, it's the golden embryo, actually. It's dreaming of all the subtle realities which will be manifested in the material world. So that was that strange, anomalous base, contradictory. It's nothing, but it's holding all potentialities in it. So then something happens. Joel.
A slow reversals movement then took place. A gas belched out from some invisible fire. Of its dense rings were formed these billion stars. Upon earth, new-born soil, God's tread was heard.
Yeah, this is a wonderful, concise description of the Big Bang. So there was that strange, anomalous base, that nothing containing all possibilities in it. And then it's as if it turns inside out. So all those possibilities get projected. First, just in the form of something intangible, like a gas. It's originated from some invisible fire, some energy. And it's spreading dense rings. They're actually full of something, of possibilities, I suppose. Of those dense rings were formed all these million stars in the universe. And nowadays we know that in these million stars are formed all the chemical elements needed to create matter and living matter and brains and everything. So as a result of that reversal, matter, earth, newborn soil is born, and then the possibility of the whole evolution of conscious creatures. Yes?
Do you know if Aurobindo was anywhere in his writings talking about the possibility of extraterrestrial life?
Yes, I think both Mother and Aurobindo talk about it, that and have written about it. Very, very interesting fragment I remember reading where he speaks about Mars. And it's not clear from the structure of the sentence whether he means that we were on Mars before we came here or we will be going to Mars. But somebody has specifically asked him about the mother and has she been to these other worlds and so on. And he said, of course she can go everywhere, but she's concentrating on the earth. And that's what we are doing also. Maybe our souls have the possibility to move freely in the whole material universe, and definitely we have the possibility to move freely in the subtle worlds. But we're here in physical material bodies to do some work here in this material world. Ganga Lakshmi.
Yes. I forget
Across the thick smoke.
Across the thick smoke of Earth's ignorance, the mind began to see and look at forms, and grow for knowledge in the nation mind. Caught in a blind stone grip, force worked its plan, and made in sleep the huge mechanical world, that matter might grow conscious of its soul, and like a busy midwife, the life path, deliver the zero carrier of the world.
Yes. So earth, the material substance, is ignorant. In that early stage, it wasn't even solid. It was just like a thick smoke, no? But behind it, there's an intelligence. A mind began to see. It began to look at forms. And it's feeling out for more and more and more knowledge in that unknowing darkness. The infinite conscious force of the One in this material universe is caught in a stone grip in matter, but it still keeps working away at its plan. It seems to be asleep or inconscient, It's building this huge world which seems to follow mechanical laws, no? But it's not entirely mechanical. It's doing, all this is happening, this is part of the plan, so that this apparently unconscious, sleeping material stuff should wake up and become conscious of its soul. And we read, last time, that its soul is the soul of the Supreme Divine Mother. And matter should grow conscious of its soul, and the life power should be able to give birth or help the universe to give birth. A midwife is a woman, an assistant who helps women to give birth to children. Yeah? So a busy midwife, she has many births to help. The life power has to help deliver this zero, this matrix naught, which is carrying within it everything. So life has to help that delivery of everything out of nothing.
Is delivery meaning give birth?
Yes, a woman delivers a child, and she often needs somebody to help her do it. So they in hospitals, in maternity hospitals, they have a delivery room where the babies are born. Rita, would you read?
Because eternal eyes turned on earth's curves, the lucent clarity of a pure regard, and saw the shadow of the unknowable, mirrored in the inconscious boundlessly. Creation's search for self began its stir.
So there's a conscious vision. Eternal eyes looked at this material universe that suddenly got manifested, no? Its gaze is lucent, it's full of light and clarity. It's a pure gaze. It sees things as they really are. So, in this dense rings of matter, it sees a shadow, mirrored, reflected, a shadow of the unknowable, of the supreme mystery, as if that is reflected in this boundless sleep of the inconscient, the pre-matter. So because that gaze sees the possibility, then this stir of creation, of evolution began. Creation's search for self, for itself, or for the expression of the indwelling self of the unknowable. This whole process of evolution began its movement. Martin.
The spirit dreamed in the crude cosmic world. Mind flows unknowing in the step of life. And matter's breath suckled the divine ideal. A miracle of the Absolute was born. Infinity put on a finite soul. All ocean lived within a wandering drop. The time-made body housed the illimitable. To lift this mystery out, our soul
This creation starts first with a spirit dreaming in this crude cosmic whirl of matter or pre-matter. But because that spirit is there and dreaming, then the possibility of mind is there. It's not full of knowledge yet, but it's flowing there in the sap, in the juice, which allows life to grow and live. So matter becomes like a nurse feeding the divine idea. Something miraculous happens. A miracle of the Absolute was born. Infinity put on a finite soul. Individual conscious beings appear. In these individual conscious beings, all ocean, the vast ocean of existence, consciousness and bliss, can live within just one wandering drop. Each of us is a wandering drop. Each of us has bodies that have been made in time, that will be unmade in time, but these bodies can house, living in them, the illimitable, the supreme. And this mystery, this anomaly, this apparent contradiction, this is why we are here. We've come, we've incarnated as souls in material bodies to live out this mystery.
Shraddhavan, I have a question.
Yes.
But a time-made body, house, limitable, is what is illimitable in the body? Maybe
No, the
cells?
illimitable is what cannot be limited.
Yeah.
But living within these limited bodies that have been made out of matter here in time, and they've been put together and they will dissolve. Still, these time-made bodies can house, they do house the illimitable, the supreme, the one. Otherwise they couldn't live at all, they couldn't exist at all. What is holding together all these little bits of subatomic particles? It's the presence of the illimitable that allows these time-made bodies.
Maybe the illimitable is in the cells, I don't know. But
Of course, in the cells. Yeah. So the cells, of course, we think of them as being very tiny things, and they're made up of microscopically tiny parts, infinitesimal. But inhabiting them is the illimitable. And because the illimitable is inhabiting them, they can change. They can grow and change and be transformed.
In every line, there comes to be something.
Oh yes, well, he's putting everything together. Yes. Yes. That's what he says, this anomalous condition that we are in, all these contradictions and all these influences from different worlds, these unsatisfied forces. We were reading a little further on, I think, where he says they because they come to Earth, they're on their own worlds, they just do their own thing and they have their own laws. But if they come to Earth, then they have to harmonize with all the many other forces. And that's why our earth life can be very confusing, because this harmonization process is not going on very smoothly. All these oppositions and but he says they have to learn to harmonize. That's why they've come here, and they have to do that if they're on earth. All this confusion has to lead to a much, much greater and richer harmony.
The calm and luminous intimacy within approves her work and guides the unseeing power. His vast design accepts a puny start, an attempt, a drawing half done is the world's life. Its lines doubt their concealed significance. Its curves join not their high intended close. Yet some first image of greatness trembles there. And when the ambiguous crowded parts have met the many-toned unity to which they moved, the artist's joy shall laugh at reason's rules. The divine intention suddenly shall be seen, the end vindicate intuition's sure technique. A graph shall be of many meeting worlds, a cube and union crystal of the gods. A mind shall think behind nature's mindless mask, a conscious vast fill the old dumb brute space. This faint and fluid sketch of soul called man shall stand out on the background of long time, a glowing epitome of eternity. A little point reveal the infinitudes. A mystery's process is the universe. At first was laid a strange, anomalous base, a void, a cipher of some secret whole, where zero held infinity in its sum, and all and nothing were a single term, an eternal negative, a matrix naught. Into its forms the child is ever born, who lives forever in the vasts of God. A slow reversal's movement then took place. A gas belched out from some invisible fire. Of its dense rings were formed these million stars. Upon earth's newborn soil God's tread was heard. Across the thick smoke of earth's ignorance, a mind began to see and look at forms, and groped for knowledge in the nescient night. Caught in a blind stone grip, force worked its plan, and made in sleep this huge mechanical world, that matter might grow conscious of its soul, and like a busy midwife, the life power deliver the zero, carrier of the all. Because eternal eyes turned on earth's gulfs the lucent clarity of a pure regard, and saw a shadow of the unknowable mirrored in the inconscient's boundless sleep. Creation's search for self began its stir. A spirit dreamed in the crude cosmic whirl. Mind flowed unknowing in the sap of life, and matter's breasts suckled the divine idea. A miracle of the Absolute was born. Infinity put on a finite soul. All ocean lived within a wandering drop. A time-made body housed the illimitable. To live this mystery out, our souls came here.